Yo,
What's poppin'? What up, though?
back at it.
Yes, sir.
Another week.
Episode 5.
Episode 5, bruh. 5.0.
Man, stinky Mexican now. Call Mel Chopper.
Bro, wow, that is crazy. How you feeling, bro? We gonna start with you. Disregard that comment, bro.
Yeah, bro. I'll probably say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
And yeah, really love church this morning. Great word. And just yesterday, it's clearly your birthday. Got to spend it with some, great people and just, fellowship, man. So I'm an 8 out of 10 for sure, man.
Okay, 8 out of 10. How we get you 2 more points, bro?
Just about to ask that. Man. Sheesh, that's a great question. I don't know, man. It's, it'll come to me. Just, being more in tune with God. I'll say that. That can always give me my extra 2 points or whatever is lacking. So,
Real?
yeah.
Real. Let's see.
How about you?
I'm a 10 out of 10, bro. I'm a 10 out of 10, man.
Okay.
I think this past week, it was just like 100 miles per hour, kind of set things up with school and different things, getting adjusted back to normalcy. And then on top of that, like planning for my birthday or whatever. But it was just good to just have everything come like full circle, have all my people there yesterday and just celebrate. Just great fellowship, man. So
Yeah.
I'm like sky high, man. Took a great nap today after service, man. I was like, man, it was
After church naps.
Boy, I was exhausted.
Classics.
I was good, bro. So I'm a 10 out of 10, bro. All glory to God, bro.
Yeah, I think I'm a 10 out of 10 because I can't think of anything that's holding me back. You know what I'm saying? It was awesome being with some good people this past week. Just some good conversations, you know what I'm saying? All around, bro. I'm just excited. I was telling him a couple of days ago, I'm just excited for what is to come in all aspects, you know what I'm saying? Nothing particular. I've got a bunch of things planned. I'm just excited because I'm excited, man. So 10 out of 10, man. Ain't nothing holding me back.
We at an A right now. This is the first time, out of 30 points, we got 28, bro.
Yeah.
We got 28 because, a couple episodes back, we might have been at a 15 or 16, bro.
We was failing the class. Call it chemistry.
Man, we got a 90% right there. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, man, we got a great topic for you guys today. I'm excited, man. It's a great thing that we all kind of resonate with. I think everybody's world has to deal with this in some way, shape, or form. And it's that topic of priorities. And so I want to start with you. When you think of priorities, like what do your priorities look like in life and how they've shaped you into who you are today?
Something I enjoy about this idea of priorities that everybody has them, you know what I'm saying? Nobody is excluded from having priorities. Everybody prioritizes something. And even if you aren't prioritizing anything, that is still a priority. Like, hey, I'm not chasing, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're always prioritizing something, even if it's not on purpose. So we also have accidental priorities. Me personally, I feel like priorities shape someone's life, you know what I'm saying? And me, my life has changed over the past couple of years because of what I prioritize. So I went from prioritizing how I looked and the money and the girls, you know what I'm saying, all those kind of things, to now prioritizing who I'm around, my actions, God, all those different things. So for me, priorities is huge. And now that I prioritize God, a couple of things come out of that, which is prioritizing love, prioritizing forgiveness, prioritizing the words that I say. As you say all the time, it's about intentionality. I don't know. Intentionality, you know what I'm saying? And so I think, again, it falls into every person's category. Every person has a set of priorities. Some are on purpose and some are on accident. But what you do shows what your priorities are.
Yeah, that's good, bro.
That's real.
Cause I think about it, like everybody at the beginning of the day, like your priorities start at the moment you wake up, and then the moment that you go to sleep, you put the head on the pillow. Like you have a day full of what your priorities are. And I believe like your priorities tell you who you exactly are. Like your priorities show you the type of person that you are, the type of character that you have. Now, whatever that may look like for you is for you. Now, for me, I think I've grown over the past couple of years as they shifted, like to your point, like it used to be, how can I prioritize how much I can be seen, like trying to gain all this attention, or how much money can I get? So I would go to extreme lists to try and prioritize getting a lot of money, you know what I mean? Or maybe prioritize like relationships, right? Talking to girls, talking to just people that I thought would just give me, fulfillment, right? And ultimately, like I said, I'm gonna say this every episode, like, it left me in a pitfall. Like, it left me empty, it left me lost, it left me just wondering why, like, the things that I was prioritizing weren't fulfilling me. And so that shifted when my priority became God. Like when I gave my life to Christ, it realized like he just flipped my word upside down, and now my priorities began to shift as I got closer to God. Like it started to turn from money, women, like lust, all those things to, love, like you said, God, you know what I mean? Relationships, good relationships that would edify me, build me up into the person that I want to be. And so, I'm curious to see what does prioritizing things mean and look like for you in your life?
Man, in my past, it used to be a lot of just prioritizing women for sure. And I think
Who you tell?
What's huge about priorities is what's ever at the top of that list at priorities or what the rest of the priorities under that are going to conform to. And so I think now, growing older and being in Christ, now that my top priority is God. And so the rest of my life and the rest of my priorities conform to to what the top one is, you know what I'm saying, which is God. And so, for example, we talk about prioritizing girls, you know what I'm saying, at the front. So now I'm prioritizing, all right, how much money am I making, what I look like, what, you know what I'm saying, what car am I driving, this, that, and the third. So the top priority is getting girls. You're going to do everything in your power to try to conform the rest of that, you know what I'm saying? And so now with it being God, I've been like, all right, prioritizing God, now I got to prioritize peace and I got to prioritize others. I got to put others before myself. So I feel like, just shifting the priorities from, things of the past to now it being God has just been a huge game changer, not even just like in my life, but in other people's lives around me for sure.
That's a bar.
I like how you said how you would go to great lengths to try and obtain that priority. It shows that what your priority is, you are going to try and get that priority as hard as possible, which means your energy is always being put into something.
Yeah.
And so now you got to ask, what am I going to get the most out of if I'm putting something in? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're putting all your energy into this girl, what are you getting out of that? Is she a girl that is even helping you? Are you both learning off of each other? Or are you just pouring water into a cup and now your cup's empty? He says it all the time, you know what I'm saying? And so now again, what you prioritize is where your energy is going to go. And is your energy going into something that is going to light up the whole city, or just going inside a box and where it just fills up and it doesn't do anything? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I feel like all of us are not wanting to waste our energy put inside a box, but we're trying to put all our energy into lighting up a whole city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's key. And what it looks like, I feel like you're saying, like in summary, is like, what we set out is what we truly care about. Right? So what our priorities is, it tells us what exactly we care about. And I think, we have to identify our priorities, from the top shelf all the way to the thing that isn't the least important, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I realized, like, I would ask this question, like, do your priorities care about you? Because once you can identify that, from there, you can figure out if I need this priority in my life, right? If my top priority is God, I know God cares about me. So now on the output, I know I'm going to get something back from that priority. But if I'm prioritizing women, right, will women always care about me? I don't think so. Will money always care about me? Nah, money is either here or there, right? So either at some point I'll have it or at some point I might not. And now in that moment, I'm looking for that care from it and it can't provide it to me, right? So I want you guys to like identify, do your priorities that you have set out, do they care about you in return? It doesn't have to be like, a person caring about you, but it can be a thing. And I'm just basically saying, can you get something back from what you're prioritizing?
And that's huge. And I think when I think of the word like priorities, I also think of like this song by Jonathan McReynolds called Make Room. And it talks about, you make room.
Bro, about to sing the chorus. Go at it.
But call Michael Jackson. But no, it's just, in summary, it's just saying like you make room for the things you care about. And you make time for the things you care about. And so, with our priorities being God, at the top, we have to make room for God. Like you make time for things you care about. And like we talked about in our past, like when it came to girls, we make room and make time for girls, you know what I'm saying? No matter what else we had to do, because the rest of the priorities conformed unto that. So when it came to that top one, we were like, oh no, like everything else got to go. We got to make time, So that's just what I think about when, talk about priorities. It's just like making time and making room for sure.
That's good. So I'm gonna ask you another question. So dealing with priorities, everybody on the opposite end of the screen has some sort of priorities set in their life.
Oh yeah.
And so with that being said, how does one identify a bad priority, right? Because sometimes people can be walking in a situation where they're blind to their priorities, right? They're prioritizing the wrong things. So how would somebody identify a bad priority and shift it to something that can be beneficial for them?
Sheesh. For me, I think it's huge. Like, does it add to your peace or does it take away your peace? Like, we have a lot of so-called priorities that strip our peace and that strip our joy and that strip away the fruits of the Spirit. But the priorities that benefit us are the ones that add those fruits of the Spirit, not only to our lives, but to everybody else's too. So that's why I would think like peace is just a huge thing, because a lot of us our peace can just be getting stripped away and we might not even know it. We just think we just live in this cycle, which the enemy wants us to live in, continuous cycle. But just understand like, yo, like this is not the way. We have to understand like what the priority is adding or what it's taking, you know what I'm saying? So I would say peace for sure.
That's good. That's good. And the question I have for you is like, he's identified what to do if you realize that you have a bad priority, right?
Yeah.
Now that you have the difference between good and bad priorities, what should you do with those good priorities, and what has that looked like for you in your life and people that you've walked with?
I heard a while, but the things that you feed grow and the things that you don't feed starve. You know what I'm saying? And so essentially for me, once I saw this is a good priority, I want to feed it. Once I learned this is a bad priority, starve it. So my pride, what did I do? I tried to starve my pride because I want less of that. I want higher amounts of people and interactions, conversations, and learning. Feed. You know what I'm saying? So again, what you feed grows, and what you don't feed starves. Yeah. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna hit on a point he made. I forgot, bro.
Nah, you good, bro. That's real. And I think for me, like you said, you've identified bad problems. You've identified what to do with good problems. And I want to go back to a couple episodes where you said, like, a bad tree cannot produce good fruit.
Yeah.
And a good tree cannot produce bad fruit. So in knowing that, when we identify these priorities, we have to start somewhere. We have to begin and pursue the things that we are prioritizing, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important to have diligence, to have discipline, right? To go forward so that now these prioritize can add things to us, right? I think about that verse, Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and these things will be added unto you, right? So what does that mean? Like, God is a priority. And when you seek and when you put action behind your priority, now these things come in return to you. So for me, it's like, okay, now every day I have to identify what, like, if these things are going to add value to me, and then if I figure out they are adding value to me, how can I begin? Because I've learned in my past, or now currently, still to this day, that when I prioritize time for things, when I'm intentional with the work that I'm putting behind something, it begins to grow, right? Now the fruit begins to grow on that tree. But when I begin to starve said thing, or starve the thing that I'm supposed to be feeding, it does not grow. And then I find myself in a position where I'm complaining that something's not growing when I'm not watering the plant. So those are just things that resonate with me when I'm trying to identify my priorities and when I'm trying to begin my priorities. But these are things that we have to be conscious of and aware of, because at the end of the day, it's like whatever you're feeding grows and whatever you're starving inevitably dies.
Yo, something I want to say off that is people I was here, I don't have any priorities. I'm just a kid in high school, I'm just a kid in college, I don't have any priorities. Everybody has priorities. If you want to learn what your priorities are, track your bank account for 1 month. I can tell you what your priorities are. In 2019, when I was, had some bad priorities, if you check my bank account, I'm spending it on going out to eat at certain places with certain people. Clothes, while I was buying clothes, I want to look a certain way. But so the point is, again, check your bank account for a month and you'll see exactly what your priorities are. If you check it now, it's a lot different than how it was. I would almost call it an investment, you know what I'm saying? Meaning I'm putting my money, not in actual investments, but on things that are gonna grow and do better. Maybe I'm giving to a church and they're helping the homeless. It's getting better. Maybe I'm spending it to eat with y'all because we're both learning off of our conversation. That's an investment, you know what I'm saying? All cash is either an investment or it's going into a hole. You know what I'm saying? Those are the only two options. Something about priorities is, I feel like priorities, it's a hole, and we try and put the wrong priorities aside, bad ones, and so the hole just stays being whole. But if you put the good priorities inside there, it's kind of like seeds where it invests over time, and it's whole, it becomes full. just like our past episode on avoiding the void, we a void size thing, you put your voids in, I'm saying it's bad voids because you're putting a Band-Aid over or something. But again, check your bank out for a whole month. I'll tell you exactly what your priorities are.
That's good. And I think something that's just crazy, like we see in our community, is like a lot of people set a lot of expectations on what a good priority is, right? Or they'll be like, hey, like, this is a good priority. This is a good priority. I want this. I want this. But like you say, we're not feeding it. And what I think about that, like faith without works is dead. You know what I'm saying? But like in the word it says, show me your faith by your deeds. So if this is truly, if you want this to be a top priority in your life, make that time, make that room. And this goes for me as well. Like this goes for anybody. It's just kind of make that time. If you want these good priorities that bear fruit, make that the number one, but you have to make time for it. We're not just saying it and say, hey, I got these good priorities, lined up this and that. But if you're not doing anything to make time or to chase that or to seek peace or to seek the fruits that will bear from these, from these top priorities, then, what are we talking about, bro?
Ooh, that's a bar. So you mentioned time and you mentioned investments. Those are 2 points I want to hit on. So I'm going to park the car in that parking lot right there. And come back to you. But you said time, right? So I think of time, and it's to your point. You talked about, you can check your bank account, you can figure out what you prioritize.
Oh, yeah.
I think where you spend the most time at shows you where your prioritizing is, right?
100%.
The thing that you're putting the most time and the most effort into reveals what your true priorities are. Yeah. Now, ultimately, like, you have to figure out what that is. Like, if you need to go check your screen time, if you need to go check your bank account, or maybe you can even go check the friends that you're around, right? Because that says a lot about the priorities. And speaking of friends,
around,
I feel like we need to make sure that we are aware of the people that we're hanging on, right? Because either they're going to be good investments or they're going to be bad investments, right? Sometimes we can have friends that shape our own priorities, right? And they may not be our own priorities, right? And so now we're starting to invest in these, partnerships or these corporations, and we're not getting any return, right? But we're just driving ourselves further into the red, further into the hole, wondering why we're not making any profit or any return, but we've been having our priorities shaped by people around us, right? So in other words, we have to be mindful of our influences around us because they can influence our priorities in a positive way or a negative way. But we have to be aware of them because ultimately, like, you don't want to end up in that hole. You don't want to end up with Uncle Sam chasing you, bro. Trying to repossess your life, bro. Sure. You get that foreclosure, bro. It's coming, bro.
That's real.
On Forrest Gump.
No, and that's so real because we say this like every episode is like, bad company corrupts good character and bad company corrupts good morals. And so you're talking about like the people you hang around, that can shape your priorities, or that can also grow, that can feed the priorities, or that can starve the priorities, And so just like we were talking about, hey, you can set these good priorities, but the people that I'm hanging around, are they adding to these priorities or are they starving it,
I like how he said, like, we talk about, we said a lot, we talk about the things that we struggle with.
Yeah.
So we aren't just giving other people advice on the outside of the screen. We're giving each other advice. So, you know what I'm saying? If you check you check my bank account past month, I'm watching a lot of films. You know what I'm saying? And some of these films aren't adding to my life. You know what I'm saying? If you check my bank account on past months, I'm paying Amazon $4 every film I watch. I'm watching a lot of films. It's so much like,
Jeez, bro.
It's a streaming service, bro? Nah. That boy, subscribe. I'm on certain ones, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's an old school one I got to tap in paying for, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, these films aren't always adding on to my life. It's putting thoughts into my mind that I don't have to be thinking. Also, I want to say, bro, it's all about who you're hanging around. As I think about it, my friends, back when I was prioritizing girls, they were all prioritizing girls. I guarantee you, if my 4 friends back then, if they were all prioritizing God, I wouldn't be prioritizing girls. But since we was all prioritizing girls, we was all prioritizing girls.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm hanging with some dudes we're all prioritizing God. What do you think happening? We all prioritizing God.
And that's tough because like, what are you being peer pressured into?
Yeah.
Like, what are you?
That's on the Patreon.
What are you being peer pressured into? Like, which are? Oh snap! Dang it! But yeah, what priorities are they peer pressuring you into? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, are they peer pressuring me into God? Or are they peer pressuring me into girls like the past, or to money, or to, you know, outlandish activities?
Yes,
You know what I'm
sir.
saying? Like, what are they pushing you to? But it's kind of realizing like, all right, this is my group of friends. This starts with me wanting to be a part of this group for that acceptance or for that validation or for that notoriety or whatever the case may be. But just understanding that it starts with us and our priorities and what are we spending our time on. We're making time for these friends that are prioritizing the same things we are, bro. It's crazy.
And to your point, I think, you know, we'd have to be mindful of who we actually are hanging around.
Yep.
Because you can be a person with good priorities and be affected by somebody with bad priorities.
100%.
And now while you're walking through life, it's like you have maybe 3 or 4 good priorities, and one person's bad priority can triumph all of them just because you spend too much time around that person.
Seen it too many
So
times.
be around people who are going to push you to something good in your life and not something that's a pit. Because I think the illustration of push, there's 2 types of way that you can be pushed. You can be pushed into a pit, or somebody can help you push towards the goal that they're trying to go. So identify those people in your life and identify their priorities, right? Because it's not just us that we are affected by, but those around us, right? So I should be, you know, checking in with my guys. All right, what are your priorities? All right, okay, all right. Maybe I shouldn't be hanging around you as much because you're prioritizing X, Y, and Z, and these are the most beneficial to the way that I'm trying to go in my life. But if you're a guy that's chasing the things that I want to get closer to, I want to grow, and it's like, I think I'm gonna start spending more time around this guy because he's gonna help me get to where I want to be. But we had to identify like the bad fruit in our lives, because when you're around bad fruit, you begin to mold, right? You ever seen a strawberry and a cart of strawberries, right?
Yeah.
There's one bad strawberry, right? The entire batch is corrupted because of that one
time.
moldy
Yep.
strawberry.
Right.
So we have to be mindful and aware of our batch of fruit. Because one piece of bad fruit can corrupt an entire cart of fruit.
Bro, that's huge. And I think like with that too, as you talk about the push, you know, into the pit, or, you know, push into the goal, right? And I think about it as on the flip side is you can also be pulled as well from the good priorities that you're chasing. Is because, you know, maybe you're in a spot, maybe somebody watching is in a spot to where they're like, hey, you know, I'm on the way to chasing these good priorities. You know, I'm making time, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that's gonna bear fruit later, right? But I still got these same group of people or these same friends that's trying to pull me away from that, that's trying to hold me back. But it's understanding like, dude, like maybe you're just in that space to where you're being separated. And a lot of people like to show you your past so you won't know where you're going in your future. You know what I'm saying? So it's huge, bro. It's understanding like you can be pulled from your priorities as much as you can be pushed into the bad ones, you know?
As we're choosing our friends, I think a key question too is, because people would say, how should I know if I should spend time with him or her? You know what I'm saying? I think the key question is what are their priorities? Because your priorities says who you are. You know what I'm saying? Who we are around shapes what we are around.
That's good. That's a bar. That's a bar. Dude, man. Okay, so now you saying that, I think about just the level of impact somebody can truly have on us, because now it makes our lives not only about us no longer, right? It no longer makes things just about us in every single facet of our lives. So we have to be mindful, like, okay, like this person might be pulling me away from the things I'm trying to get. And sometimes, right, you think of the peer pressure, but I also think like the tolerance level. Like we had to put the foot down and understand, like, hey, like I'm not willing to go over there. I'm not willing to go to that area just because like it's not gonna help me. Like it's not gonna get me to where I need to be. And most of us like to tolerate things just because we want that community. And don't be a person who's, you know, probably like, I don't want to say like insecure, but don't tolerate things just because you want community around you. Because all community isn't good community. You need to be mindful of the people around. Like you said, check their priorities so that you can know where you're about to go into, right? Because at the end of the day, like what's in the darkness is gonna come to shine, right? And so if you're chasing people into the darkness, sooner or later, all of you guys are gonna be revealed in the light. So you need to be aware of what you want revealed in the light. Do you want your good priorities revealed in the light? Or do you want to be caught lacking in a place where you wasn't expecting to be illuminated?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, dang, like I thought we were supposed to be good. Turns out we got caught up. And I want to give a story real quick because it's crazy. This junk changed my life literally.
I'm ready.
So
we're on the Patreon too.
So around the time I was just about to give my life to Christ, so I was still hanging out with my boys who we were smoking weed, right? Now this is around the time where I put my foot down where like I was done smoking weed, but I still hang around people who were smoking weed, right? So I was being pulled away from what I was about to step into, but I was still accepting that community because I wanted community around me. This is why I said like all community isn't good community, right?
Right.
So I'm taking pictures at the time, doing photography, and they wanted to take pictures with the weed that they had in their hand. So I'm like, okay, like, I don't know why, but I take a picture of you, like, I'm about to get compensated for it, so it should be pretty cool, right? So we're taking pictures, and then we end up going to like the parking lot because they're about to go smoke weed. And I'm like, I still want to hang out with my friends because like I haven't seen them in a minute, so let's just chop it up, whatever. Now, mind you, like I'm not smoking weed. I have made this a priority. Like I'm no longer gonna smoke weed, right? Their priorities are different. And so as we're chopping up in the car, this is like 11, 12 at night, bro. Out of nowhere, bro. Cop pulls up, bro. And then we're like, oh,
Bad news.
Bruh, what is about to happen, bro? So the cop pulls up, bro. They all like trying to hide the weed and stuff. And I'm like, damn, bro, we about to get caught up. So basically in my mind, I'm thinking like, I put myself in this position because of my priorities, right? And at the time I was prioritizing money. So money looked good when I was about to get compensated for it, even though the situation looks bad itself. And so in that moment, man, the cop came knocking on the door, bro. And he's like, hey, like, what are you guys doing, man? It's kind of late. And like, oh, we're just taking pictures and stuff. And, we're not doing anything. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he's like, yeah, like, can I see the camera or whatever? And so the officer had me step out of the car, right? And I'm like, bruh, the last set of pictures I took was with these guys, with dark weed in their hand, right?
Yeah.
And so as I'm like hitting the preview button, I had to like take them towards me. So like the officer can't see the screen yet. And I had to go to the beginning of my SD card and start scrolling to the right, just so that I could buy time so that the officer would get tired of waiting, just give us a get out of jail free card or whatever, bro. And so I ended up doing that, and he's like, all right, just make sure you guys get home safely. And he left us all good. So I get back in the car. I'm like, I'm out of here, bro. We getting out of here, bro. And the moment we left, bro, I got in my car, I drove off. I was like, I'm never putting myself in that position again. I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just taking pictures. But it was the people that I was around that influenced the situation that could have been. We all was supposed to go down, bro. We all supposed to go to jail, bro. We all young, under the age 21, bro, with weed, bro. It's a wrap, bro. And the fact, I feel like God's hand was in me in that moment, bro. He was operating behind the scenes. I didn't know it at the time. Yeah. But it's crazy because we had to identify our priorities. And some of our bad priorities can put us, all of them, our bad priorities can put us in bad positions, right? But you need to be mindful of being a person that has good priorities, but being around people with bad priorities because of what spots that they can end up doing. And then that guilty by association is crazy.
Literally.
I'm big on that one.
That's so real. And something that I like that you said essentially was, setting the boundaries, right? And then like also understanding like priorities are branches. Like there are branches that lead to other things. So we got to understand we have to count the cost when we want to set these things as priorities. We have to pick and choose our battles when we set these things as priorities. So if I say, I heard a quote today and it said, it's not hard to be a Christian, it's hard to be a mature Christian. And understanding being a mature Christian comes with reading the Bible, praying, serving others. So if it's like, if you don't want that, if you're not prioritizing God, then you don't want that. So count the cost. Let's not even put that as a priority, right? But it's understanding like priorities are a branch. They lead to so many other things. But what is at the end of the branch? The fruit. Or there could be no fruit, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like understanding, pick your battles, pick and choose your battles. Just like you said, you can be pushing some bad priorities, which bear no fruit at the end of the day. They may show some leaves here and there, but they don't bear any fruit at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you got to pick and choose, man. You got to count the cost.
Charging for it.
Sure.
Hey, trying to give them free content.
Like, long story short, like, to your point, I just want to say, like, just because it looks good doesn't mean that it's actually good, bro. Because you can bite into a piece of spoiled fruit thinking that the fruit is good, bro. Like, just because it comes out of a branch does not mean that it's automatically good.
Hey,
bro.
It's good from far, but it's far from good.
At the end of the day, but we gotta do fruit inspection, bro.
Literally.
We gotta do fruit inspection everywhere that we go, because you don't know the type of vine that it's coming from, right? Because everybody got different vines, and you might need to identify the vine that you are a part of, bro. Because at the end of the day, you either producing good fruit or you spoiled, bro.
Literally.
you spoiled.
I like how you said, sorry. I like how you said all community isn't good community, because sometimes we drop our boundaries, and that drops our priorities. You know what I'm saying? But I love how you said it's a branch to the fruit. Man, because sometimes I'm blown away, bro. I'm live, but I'm blown away. I just want to be like, man. Hey, cook me in comments. Hey, bro, just marveled at. Bro was astonished. $5.
My God.
I was Paul. I done seen the light.
No, that's funny.
Some points though.
No, for sure.
That's good, bro.
That's what I think, and Jair was hitting on is, I think in 1 Corinthians 10:23, we always talk about is all things are lawful for me, but not all things are beneficial. All things are lawful for me, but not all things edify me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like understanding these priorities. You got to count the cost with them branches. Like you can say, hey, I want this to be a priority. You can prioritize girls or whatever.
Yeah.
But is it edifying to you? Does it benefit you? Do you want to bear fruit at the end of the day? It's like you talk about the fruit inspection. It's huge. You got to do it.
I was thinking of someone who I know who his number one priority, it was his job, but he didn't count the cost. And his job, he was so into it, it ended up costing him his wife and his kids. You know what I'm saying? What if he counted the cost first, not the cost of how much it was paying him, but the cost of what it was going to charge to him? You know what I'm saying?
And I would add on to that because I think in counting the costs, we also have to identify the destination that we're trying to reach.
Yeah.
Because some of us are paying expenses of a destination that we don't even want to buy into, right? We're trying to go on vacations that we were never meant to buy into. We never meant to put money in. We were never meant to invest in. So identify the destination that you're trying to go into and identify if the cost that you're paying for, the lifestyle that you're prioritizing, is it worth it? Because at the end of the day, it's either going to be good fruit or it's going to be bad fruit. But you have to identify the destination. And from there, now you get to see, all right, man, maybe I do need to realign my priorities. Maybe I do need to take initiative and evaluate who around me. Maybe I do need to do some fruit inspection so that I can ultimately get to the destination that I want to end up to. Right? Don't prioritize the destination, prioritize the journey, but make sure that you have the destination in mind when you're thinking about your priorities and the costs that go in between.
That's
huge. Me include too. Sometimes I'm taking a plane that is going the opposite direction as the goals I'm trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? I think, and that's me too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think with that too is like you said, understanding the goal and the destination. But I think a lot of us do, especially in the Christian faith, is we try to get into things prematurely that we were never spiritually mature to go into. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of about taking things step by step, day by day. Inch by inch, mile by mile. Like that's what it's about. It's about doing it every day consistently. And like that's what the thing we talk about, picking and choose our battles, counting the cost. Like if you want to reach this goal, so for us, we prioritizing God. We got to do these things every single day. It's a relationship with God. It takes consistency. If I'm not in a relationship if I'm in a relationship with my wife, it's not like I'm not going to talk to her every single day. It's the same thing with God. If not more, it's the same thing. So it's just like, it's every single day. It's stepping stones every single day.
Then I also wanted to say, just because you're going the wrong way now doesn't mean that you can't come back. I was flying to Florida once, and they had me fly to South Carolina first and then down to Florida. So I was going the wrong way for a short bit, but then they got me going to where I needed to go. So sometimes that journey that we value, it can be long. It's not a straight path.
Yeah, bro. And sometimes when you do take those detours, it builds character.
Yup.
I think ultimately like consistency shows your priorities. So if you have like bad consistency, then maybe it will result in bad priorities.
Yeah.
So it may be like you're trying to realign back on that, try to end up at that destination that you're going to, the Florida, right? And now you start having good consistency, and now your priorities begin to shift. And now guess what? You're back on track to end up at the destination that you were already going for when you initially set those priorities. So be mindful again, right, of the detours that you're going to be on, and evaluate where I am currently, right? What are my priorities, and are they going to help me get to the destination that I want to go to?
Inspect that fruit, man.
Inspect the fruit.
Got to, man.
Sheesh, that's some good stuff.
Very, for sure.
Man, we out here. Deuce.